What comes to mind when you think of Playboy? Pretty women that are barely clothed, sometimes even wearing their birthday suits, Hugh Hefner in his sailor cap and robe, smoking a pipe. Or maybe you think about the Playboy Mansion and the rabid infestation of bunnies that has been going on there since 1959. But what I'm guessing you don't think about are the 3 pinball machines that have been released under the Playboy brand. Hello, my name is Pinhead, and today I'm going to be going over all 3 Playboy pinball machines to see which one comes out on top. Now, am I partially influenced by the fact that I want to look at scantily clad women? Yes. However, with such an iconic brand and one of the only themes in pinball to get multiple renditions over the span of numerous decades, I thought it would be a great idea to do a deep dive into each machine and see how the brand has been translated over the years. Now, unfortunately, I do not have in-person access to all 3 of these machines. In fact, I have in-person access to none of them. There is a gentleman selling a non-functional Bally Playboy near me. However, I do not have $3,500 to spend on a non-functional machine. So for this video, in addition to watching footage of the in-person machines, I will be playing all 3 machines using Visual Pinball X to try and get a feel for how each one plays. Without further ado, let's get into the machines. Bally Manufacturing, the legendary company known for producing 90s gems like Attack from Mars and the Addams Family, produced pinball machines from 1934 with their first release Ballyhoo, before stopping the production of pinball machines in 1999 with their final release Revenge from Mars. In the 1970s, Bally's pinball production was in full swing, producing machines that were doing well for the time, like Fireball and Captain Fantastic. In December of 1978, designer Jim Patlin decided to capitalize on Playboy's popularity and create the pinball machine titled Playboy. Despite controversy, as many saw it as promoting adult entertainment to young kids in arcades, Playboy was a commercial success and still to this day is the 4th best-selling pinball machine of all time, with 18,250 units produced. If you want to pick one up today, the value is around $2,300 to $2,700. However, a machine in good condition can run for a lot more. With the game being so popular, it had me wonder, does it have more to do with the Playboy theme or the actual gameplay? I have to admit, when I first booted up the emulator and started playing, I thought it was kind of boring and a little lacking compared to other games I've played from that era. However, after a few more games and more of an understanding of the rules, I found the game to be quite fun. The 3 pop bumpers in the center are super addicting to hit, the layout is simple yet engaging, and the rules are simple yet fun. Trying to collect the 5 Playboy keys is great, same with trying to hit the playmate targets and drop targets. I also enjoyed the memory super bonus, where you could rack up crazy bonuses at the end of each round, which would play a fun little jingle and deliver massive points. Speaking of that jingle, let's talk about the sound. At first, I found the sound to be annoying, especially when the ball would enter the Playboy grotto to the left and the infamous jingle would play. In fact, it started to sound like nails on a chalkboard to me. However, as I kept playing, I must have gotten a case of Stockholm Syndrome because I actually started to enjoy it and even look forward to the jingle. As I did more research, I found out this jingle was actually part of the official Playboy theme song, which is playing right now, so I guess it makes sense why it was included. And this kind of goes without saying, but I believe the biggest reason the machine was so popular was due to the artwork. It's very easy to slap a few good-looking women on a pinball machine and call it a day. But I think artist Paul Ferris, who later designed legendary machines like Xenon and Centaur, clearly knew what he was doing and made sure the color, art, and theme all worked together to make a machine that looks as good as it plays. The back glass is very well done, as well as the playfield. It strikes me as very classy, which is not a word I thought I would use to describe Playboy. Overall, Bally's 1978 rendition of Playboy was a surprisingly good experience, and out of all the old school machines that I've played, this one holds up quite well and is a fun time if you just want to turn your brain off and play some pinball. Originally known for arcade games, Data East was a Japanese company that entered the pinball industry in 1985, purchasing assets from Stern Electronics after they shut down their first pinball division. Data East machines are widely known for utilizing licensed themes, with big-name series such as Back to the Future, Star Wars, and Jurassic Park. And another big name they were able to add to their lineup was Playboy. The year 1989 marked the 35th anniversary of the company, so what better way to celebrate than by creating a 35th anniversary edition pinball machine? Right off the bat, I have to say the artwork on the machine does not look as good as the previous one. I'm not a big fan of translites that include real photos. However, to give it some credit, this one is definitely better than some of the other ones. For reference, here's some of the other ones that Gottlieb has released. They're hard to look at. However, I do enjoy all of the Easter eggs that were included in the artwork, such as the granny on the back glass and the real Playboy arcade being featured near the pop bumpers. But the colors just don't blend well together. The deep blue and sharp red contrast with each other, and then there's all sorts of other colors sprinkled throughout. The depiction of Hugh Hefner's wife, Kimberly Conrad, also looks questionable. I can't exactly put my finger on it, but the proportions just look off, and the outfit is definitely not Playboy's finest. Women in bowler hats do not seem to go well together. In fact, even men in bowler hats don't seem to go well together. I will say though, it is funny how her boobs light up periodically. That was a funny touch from Data East. The sound of the machine is a lot better than the art. I enjoy the smooth background music that plays with the pinball machine. I've been playing music from the machine throughout this entire segment, and in my opinion, it has my favorite music out of the three machines. The sound effects are also very enjoyable. Women will giggle and laugh when you hit the pop bumpers, and there's also a bunch of other very on-brand Playboy sound effects that I just think fit the aesthetic of the machine very well. Surprisingly, I did enjoy the gameplay quite a bit. It has simple rules and a simple play field. The rules mainly consist of trying to get multi-balls by locking balls in the grotto, which is a nice callback to the first machine that also had a grotto at the same place on the play field. The two ramps are also pretty fun to hit, and I felt that there were a lot of different targets to go for. I really enjoyed the champagne bottle that's on the left slingshot that shoots the ball back out too. Again, the game is nothing super complex, but just like its predecessor, I found a lot of fun in its simplicity, and I think it'd be a great game for a party with friends. Overall, I would say the weakest part of Data East's rendition of Playboy is the artwork. I did see online that someone made a custom Marilyn Monroe edition of the game that's so cool, so that would solve the artwork problem. However, on a Playboy themed pinball machine, I feel like artwork is one of the most important factors, and they kind of dropped the ball on it. However, gameplay and sound wise, I think this game has a lot of charm, and I was surprised by how good of a time I had with it. The machine didn't do as well as its predecessor, only producing 2,338 units of the game, which is just around 12% of what Bally produced with their 1978 version. Speaking of Bally, this game is worth about the same as their Playboy rendition, going for $2,400 to $2,800. And a quick shout out, Rolling Retro has a great video on this machine that I definitely recommend checking out. It's got great editing, it's a much better deep dive into the machine, so please check out his video. I'll link it in the description, show him some love. Now on to the final machine. In 1994, Data East Pinball was purchased by Sega and rebranded as Sega Pinball. Then 5 years later, Sega Pinball was purchased by Stern and became Stern Pinball, which, as I'm sure you all know, is still running strong to this day and has produced a giant catalog of machines since 1999. The 8th pinball machine that they released was their version of Playboy. Designed by George Gomez and Dwight Sullivan, two men who are still active in the pinball scene, Stern released 1,400 units in 2002, making it the least produced Playboy machine of the three. Nowadays, if you want one, they're worth about $4,000 to $5,000. The unique thing about this machine is that it was the first Playboy pinball machine to include nudity. The machine comes with a set of family-friendly, partial nudity, and full nudity cards that you can insert into any of the slots on the playfield that include real photos of the playmates. Speaking of playmates, there's a lot of them included in this machine. There's playmates behind the peekaboo curtain, the T-screen and mirror in the back. The centerfold also opens up to show a playmate during centerfold multiball, and the spinner and magazine include photos as well. Right off the bat, I think this machine did a great job with artwork. I think it leans a little on the trashy side as opposed to the classy Playboy that the original 1978 one encaptured. However, I think that's more of a commentary on how society progressed as opposed to a critique on the actual pinball machine itself. I think that the back glass looks great too and is a big improvement from the 1989 version. The animations on the dot matrix display also look great as well, and I'm just a sucker for dot matrix displays. Showcasing all of the different playmates and including avoiding nudity was a great move from Stern and helped to truly utilize the Playboy theme to its fullest extent. I also think the sound and music are great. Although the background music doesn't scream Playboy in my opinion, the song is catchy, it's playing right now, and a great soundtrack while you're trying to make shots. The sound effects are also great, they're very similar to the 1989 sound effects. In terms of gameplay, there's a lot more to do on this machine than the other two. Collecting the playmates, hitting the peekaboo shot, getting the centerfold multi-ball, all of those tasks are incredibly fun and definitely give that one more game feeling when you've lost a game. When playing on the virtual emulator for this video, I was not able to stop playing, and the thought of progressing a little further into the game was enough to keep me going for a while. The skill shot is really fun as well, and I thought it was cool that it has a Playboy magazine mech incorporated. Clearly, George Gomez and Dwight Sullivan knew what they were doing when designing this game. Everything comes across as well thought out and with great appreciation and understanding of the theme. With great art, great gameplay, and great sound, I think Stern did a phenomenal job and delivered a game that's not too complex but also has enough depth to keep the player coming back. So now that I've given my thoughts on all three of the Playboy games, it's time to go into the rankings. So where do I rank the three Playboy games? Number 3 would have to go to Data East 1989 Playboy 35th Anniversary Machine. Although I had a really fun time playing the machine and I enjoy the playfield layout and rules, the art holds it back from being a machine that I would seriously consider owning unless it was a great deal. Number 2 would go to Bally's 1979 Playboy machine. Despite having the most simple gameplay of the three machines, the artwork is amazing and the gameplay is addicting, and for an older machine, I think it holds up really well compared to other machines from that era. That means the number 1 pick for the best Playboy pinball machine, and I know this will be controversial because Bally's 1979 version is so iconic, but for me, it goes to Stern's 2002 Playboy machine. This machine has the advantage of having more advanced technology, which leads to an incredibly fun play experience, along with great artwork, great sound, and an engaging rule set that forces you to keep entering your quarters. I think out of all of the designers, George Gomez and Dwight Sullivan did the best job, and it makes sense why they're regarded as pinball legends. Now, an interesting question that I wanted to discuss was, do I think a modern Playboy pinball machine released by Stern or Jersey Jack would be successful? Most modern pinball machines, especially by Stern, are based on popular movies, rock bands, or a series that appeals to more of an older male demographic. And while Playboy definitely appeals to an older male demographic and anyone who enjoys looking at pretty women, which is pretty much every guy, more and more pinball machines are being sold for home use only, and I cannot see a lot of people's wives being happy with them getting a Playboy themed machine. It's not a game you could purchase if you have young children without hiding it or putting in family friendly inserts, and it may be polarizing if you bring it out when you have family or friends over. So unfortunately, I do not believe that there will be another Playboy pinball machine made for the foreseeable future, which is fine because I don't know how much more is left to explore with this theme. So Stern's 2002 Playboy wins as my favorite Playboy pinball machine. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section below, and make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you want me to continue to make more pinball content. I may do another ranking video on another series such as Jurassic Park pinball machines or Star Wars pinball machines, so if you want to see those, leave me a comment and stick around. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a great day.